All right. Here we go back again on the other side of the coin and back with another episode number 3 in the Brown Excellence. As you can see, I've got my Brown brothers, Kamal and Shyam here. I'm trying to get in touch with Vivek, but he's as you guys all know, he's gone from football Twitter, so I've got him on WhatsApp, but I'm just sort of letting him chill out for a little bit, and I'll get in touch with him. But guys, we've got a bumper episode lined up. I want to talk to you guys about Tammy Abraham, Mateo Kovacic, and Thiago Silva. But before we get into all of that, firstly, Kamal, how you doing?
Oh, good man. Thanks for having me on once again. Excited to get into another Chelsea discussion. It's so much fun. So, yeah, I can't complain. Hope you're good too. Ready for the holidays, and this Arsenal game coming up is going to be. I'm a little scared. I'm not going to lie. I'm a little scared.
It's going to be a bumper ride. Shyam, before I get to Shyam, thank you, Michele, for coming in. You, brother, always make the time and effort to come in. And Anirudh, thanks for being here as well. And a few other people have joined in. Please comment, smash the like button while you're here. Shyam, how you doing, my man?
I'm actually good, bro. I'm fab. I hope you both are doing good as well. And really glad that, to be back again.
Nice, man. Yeah, it's good to have you back, Shyam. Honestly, it's really good. Let's get straight into it. We've got quite a bit to talk about. I don't want you guys to hang about for too long. And I know for Kamal, it's been a long day. he's
you can tell.
Yeah, you can tell he's tired. It's not like your usual self, Kamal, where you're just buzzing. That's
the kids.
It is what it is, man. Hey, so I want to start off by talking about Tammy Abraham. Boys, Tammy Abraham for me, yes, fantastic performance against West Ham, and obviously we're going to talk about that. But throughout this season, he's been pretty good, to be honest. Whenever he's been called upon, he's been good. Assists, goals, link-up play. So what I want to start off by talking with, I'll go with you, Kamal, and then I'll go to Shyam. Kamal, obviously, Olivier Giroud had a really nice patch of good form, and he was the only one that was really scoring goals. But Frank made that switch of taking him off and putting Tammy Abraham. I think all of us in social media kind of thought about this as well, that with Tammy Abraham up front, it's a far more fluid front three. He allows for Werner and Pulisic to move around and be far more interactive, I suppose, with the striker. Yeah. As we saw, Tammy Abraham sometimes drifts to the right as well, allowing Werner to come in the middle, and then sometimes he'll drop deep. It's not to say that Giroud doesn't do that, but Giroud doesn't do it with pace, I suppose. So how much of this statement do you think, Tammy, by having Tammy up there, allows for a lot more fluidity? How much of that do you believe in that?
I fully believe into it, because I think we discussed it last week. It was Giroud's form has been kind of like a curse in disguise, where there's typically a blessing in disguise. So it's kind of evident that with Tammy, you get a lot more in terms of the fluid play. You get pressing, you get pace. His link-up play has greatly improved this season over the course of his Chelsea career, to be honest with you. So it helps a lot having Tammy in the team. And he's incredibly underrated by the fan base, because maybe he doesn't score every game, but when he does, as of late, he has been scoring goals. He's been scoring goals or assisting, doing something to affect the team, affect the result. I'm not sure why the fan base kind of gets on his back a little bit, maybe because he's not, a £50 million signing and so on and so forth. But, I love Tammy. He's Chelsea through and through, and he's clear that he helps his team out a lot when he plays. Everything just seems to be a lot more smoother. Everything seems to go a lot better when he's in the team. When it comes up to link up play with Timo Werner specifically, them two seem to have some kind of chemistry that you can't teach. It's just they seem to be on the same wavelength. So I like Tammy in this team a lot, and he gives you something that Giroud doesn't. Whether it's just, like I said, pace and pressing for sure.
Shyam, we'll get to Giroud, but what I want to ask you off the back of what Kamal just talked about, there's a lot of fans out there that don't completely rate Tammy. I'll put my hand up as well. I don't completely rate him. I think he's a very good player. I had Dan McCarthy, Macasport, in this channel as well, a few other people. And he as well said that he doesn't think Tammy is a long-term striker for Chelsea because there's just something that for him and for me as well that just doesn't feel like he's a long-term striker. Why do we feel like that, Shyam? Are you someone who feels that Tammy is definitely a long-term striker for us, or are you also thinking he does a good job, but I don't think outright he's a Chelsea striker?
Um, well, actually, Miss, I think you must be remembering the fact that way back in Feb, when we had that lockdown and stuff, we had a discussion on Martinez from Inter Milan. I actually
Yeah.
mentioned how I saw him as the solution for us. I think I actually stand by the fact that Tammy is good. Tammy is doing excellent now, but I think it's too early to judge whether he's going to be a long term solution for us. He's like what 23 now, and I think he's not
Yeah,
not
23.
not even yeah, and I think he's not even entered his peak age. So I think it's too early to judge, but looking at the fact, looking at his play and stuff like that, I think there are signs that he can improve. But do I see him as a long term solution right now? I'm a bit on the fence with that. I actually feel he's got the skill set there. Now it's about the
Mm.
execution part. You look at someone like DCL of Everton. No, same player, like same age, and you got a player who's doing everything right there. And now Tammy's um,
Yeah.
Tammy's goal or aim should be to compete with someone like him right now, and I think he's doing well, but still I think he's a level or two below him right now. I think too early to judge, but I'd slightly be safe enough to say that maybe, but I'm not entirely sure.
Fair enough. A good question here, which I want to touch on, and I'll go to Kamal Kamal with this one as well. Anirudh has said that what if we actually get Halal next summer? Yes, very very optimistic. But what it does to our playing style? Also, what's in for Werner in that case? So I think before we get into talking about Werner here, I think a player like Haaland coming in probably be detrimental towards Tammy Abraham. Don't you think, Kamal?
100%. Because Haaland comes in, it's I hate to say it's game over for him, really, right? He's not getting ahead of someone of that talent. He's just Haaland's a potential Ballon d'Or type winner. He's 19, 20 even. He's a generational talent, as they say. Just bangs goals in for fun. And whilst Tammy is a homegrown talent and does score goals, maybe he doesn't have as many decisive goals or as many as those kind of key moments that kind of win a game by himself, whereas kind of Haaland does. So yeah, if Haaland comes in, then Tammy Abraham is unfortunately going to be a bit part off the bench, kind of how he has been throughout his Chelsea tenure. To be honest with you, he's kind of had streaks where he starts a little bit off the bench here and there, but he'll be on the bench for sure. There's no doubt about it. But if to answer the question that he asked, if what happens to Timo Werner, I think it happens what is happening this season. I think he kind of plays off a central striker in Haaland's nature, or continues playing off the left or on the right, depending on who's fit. It's kind of detrimental to one or two, but start playing with Haaland and Werner up top, I think it would be lethal, and I think every Chelsea fan would just be over the moon by the attacking prospects that we would have.
Absolutely, man. It's scary to even think that way. Shyam, let's talk a little bit about Giroud because it's all linked with the whole Tammy situation. Can we now possibly say there's been a lot of talk about that? People have been saying that perhaps, Giroud is. There was a moment where he was number one striker. He's all of a sudden gone down to number 3 again. It's crazy how it just shifts around like that. But realistically speaking, is Giroud probably a proper just backup striker for us and nothing more and nothing else? Or do you think, no, you know what? Giroud is still very quality. He's going to come back to the team and he's going to reclaim his place. How do you look at this whole situation with Giroud?
With Oli, I think, bro, it depends on the style of game we wish to play, and I think when it comes down to that, right now I think he's good as a backup, and that's it. Now you bring him into to a team where the where you require to hold out the CBs and stuff, he'll be a top striker there. But then here, I think you need to create those channels there for the players around you, which he does. But I don't think he does it in a way that Tammy does. Dropping deep. The third goal against West Ham was a classic example of that. Where Tammy
Yeah,
was close to that half line, and
yeah.
he had the pace to go back and net that goal. So I don't think someone like Ollie will be able to do that. And I think the huge difference there is, Ollie is someone who holds off the CBs, but then you take a look at Tammy. He's someone who drags the CBs there. So I think for the style we play, I think Tammy is right now the choice, and Ollie's, I think, a backup, and just that.
No, absolutely, man. Come on, let's talk a little bit about the goals that Tammy scored recently against West Ham. And, many will argue whether he was man of the match or Thiago Silva was man of the match. Very, debatable on that. But in regards to his goals, before we talk about Kovacic, I thought some of his movement was excellent, to be honest. I kept on saying after the match that we did the suffer ball sort of situation. We've just hung on. But, we defended well. We really didn't give West Ham any opportunity, to be honest, even though they had the ball, a lot of it, but they weren't creating anything. I don't think they even created one proper opportunity in that match. Right. But that reward came through with Tammy, and our second goal, Tammy's first goal, great movement, I believe. It was through the middle from Pulisic, and then there was a shot from Werner, and Tammy gambles. Right. And he goes in, beats the offside, line, and he just taps it in. Let's talk about this first goal. How important do you think? Like, he seemed like a poacher, didn't he?
Yeah, I mean that's kind of what Tammy does best. I mean, his overall game seems to be a fox in the box type player, where he's kind of relying on instinct, as opposed to building up the play and kind of, finishing it from outside the box or something like that. That's his specialty. And as a number 9, he probably loves no goal more than that. The simple tap in. I think all strikers love that simple, just tap it in. I think they say shit house type goal.
So many people like get on him because they're tap-in goals. I don't understand it. Like, that's the kind of goals you want for a striker.
Absolutely. It's like, would you be annoyed if we had a prime Ruud van Nistelrooy who scored every goal in his entire career in his box to score 30 goals a season and they're all tap-ins? No, absolutely not. You accept this. This is what you want your strikers to do: score goals. And I'm sure we'll get into Timo Werner at one point, and maybe he could do with something like that. Timo Werner could probably boost his confidence up and
absolutely
make him a different player by just scoring a simple goal, even if it was the deflected off 10 guys and went in.
Timo's finding it hard to do tap-ins now.
Exactly. It's finding it hard to do a lot of things. But yeah, Tammy Abraham, this is what he does, man. He gets in those positions, like you said. He takes risks. This is what you want your strikers to do, and he did it, and you can't complain. So, like you said, I don't understand why people are complaining over something like that.
Absolutely. Brilliant comment here from our man, Iram. You guys all probably know through football Twitter. If Tammy had better balance and heading ability, he'd be very complete striker, would have everything needed for a good shot. Spot on. Honestly, that's a top comment there, because, for me, that's the only thing that Tammy probably lacks, and I hope that he eventually gets into that. Shyam, second goal, I was very, very impressed by this from Tammy Abraham and Pulisic. Obviously, Pulisic drives through, but the interlink between Tammy, I think this is where I know Giroud can do that as well, but Giroud doesn't do it with pace. I think Tammy's pace really catches the defense off guard and then allows for Pulisic to be quick as well. And then obviously, Mason with the cross that comes in confuses the living daylights of the West Ham keeper, Fabianski. And obviously Pulisic goes with the header, confused it even more. And then once again, Tammy was there gambling. He didn't just stand there just watching the whole thing transpire. He was following the process, and he was following the game. And then it falls nicely for him and just slots it in. At that point, what did you think about Tammy's movement as well for that second goal?
I think it was classic Tammy goal, bro, because you actually look at the link up play there. I think Tammy probably explained to his doubters there why he was really important there, because I think Oli would have done a good job. I don't think, again, as I mentioned, he would have got at the end of that goal there, and that's actually very important. And also another factor was that when Tammy actually was near the finishing line, he actually went wide. He didn't go direct into the goal because he knew Pulisic
Yeah,
was there. So that actually speaks presence of mind there, and he's actually ready to go wide, which I doubt many strikers would be able to do. So I think that actually spoke volumes for me. I think he's actually, I mean, to the system we play, I actually think he'll be very important for us. So, yeah.
absolutely, man. Quick fire question for both of you guys before we go to Kovacic against Arsenal. Oliver Giroud or Tammy Abraham to start? Kamal, who's your man?
Tammy, yeah, absolutely needed.
Oliver Giroud has history with Arsenal, and crossing seems to be a bit of an issue for Arsenal at the moment.
It's true, but the system overall. You take the system overall, then one positive, right? So, yeah, Tammy for me.
Brilliant. Shyam, who's starting for you up front?
Same here, bro. Tammy for me as well.
Brilliant. I think some of the comments as well is backing Tammy for that particular match. So Tammy Abraham, here we go. Arsenal Emirates back again, doing it again. Tammy Abraham. Now, boys, let's talk about Mateo Kovacic. I'll go to Shyam this time first, and then I'll go to Kamal. Shyam, I don't know, man. I just felt in recent times Mateo Kovacic doesn't seem to get the level of praise that other players generally get. Like, when Timo Werner does well, everyone in pandemonium talking about Timo Werner, or when Kovacic does well. I know they haven't been doing well, or Mason Mount when he does well, so on and so forth. Kovacic, he's been under the radar this season. I can't really remember an absolute stinker from him this season yet. A lot of people will say he wasn't that great against, I can't remember, Everton, I think, when he started. But then again, no one was good against Everton. For me, he's always been a great player, whether it's been off the bench or sometimes when he starts, but especially off the bench against West Ham. When he came on, he was full of energy, and he doesn't seem to get enough praise, Shyam. Why do you think that's the case?
I think, bro, when it's come to Kovacic, I think, I'm not saying all, but I think majority of the fans kind of expect goals from him, I guess, because we can like we know it's not not his strength. Yes, I don't think it's his strength, but then he gets into those positions, and when he shoots, it actually looks pretty average. So I think that is a massive factor when it comes to his deciding whether he's is good or below good, I think. And I think another factor is the fact that the type of game we play, the attacking eights again. I think many feel actually, and they are right, I guess. You need someone like Mount there, someone who's actually willing to run, make those tackles, who's actually willing to be all around the pitch. And I think Kova, he does that. I don't think he does it as effectively as Mount, but I don't blame him, because he is not Mount. He is a special type of player on his own. And I think somewhere down the line, instead of comparing players, it'll be better if we praise the player for who he is. And I think we don't do that with Kovacic. I think that's
Kamal. Shyam has really put on some good points here. Do you feel that's a big factor why our fan base perhaps doesn't completely understand Kovacic's game? Yes, attacking eights, and perhaps they're expecting him to score goals and assist a lot. There's a really good commentary from Jay here. CFC Jay, thanks for this comment. He's very good against tight legs also, which makes him good substitute, but also feel he should start in the right games. I think what Jay's trying to say here is that he's great from driving from the middle, especially when in the second half where players are tired. His drives literally leaves the opposition behind, and they can't keep up with him because of that energy.
Right.
Do you feel Kovacic's game has value to our system as well? And do you feel as well that the fan base should try and understand exactly what he brings to the team?
Yeah, absolutely. I do think he's incredibly underrated by the fan base. I think I don't want to say underrated by the entire fan base, obviously, but it's kind of like split. I think Shams, knocked it out for six because half the fan base expect goals and assists. They just go by statistics. They don't watch the game. It's like
Everyone,
it's producing
goals and
nothing.
assists.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. If you're not stat padding on whatever they use, you think they're having a terrible game. Possession lost, or passes completed, all that, all the statistical analysis of the game doesn't generate, it doesn't show us what the full game's about, right? But like Jay said, and like you said earlier as well, like Kovacic, his game is to progress the ball, right? His game is to break between the lines, progress the ball, link up play between defense and the attack. And there's not many players in world football that are better than him at doing that, in my opinion, anyway. The way he can dribble with the ball is absolutely ridiculous. I don't think we've seen that many players in Chelsea history that are that good on the ball. And I'm not just saying it for sakes. Eden Hazard, Zola, and him, like, they're up there. He's right up there with the best dribblers that we've ever had in terms of holding the ball at his feet, going by past players as well. Let's be real, as an attacking player, he does kind of need to step up his game in terms of key balls and key passes and getting better at shooting on target, because he's not good at it. Let's be real. When he does score, it is a worldie, but we need more of it. But yeah, to answer your question, for this system, he's absolutely needed, because you need some kind of balance in the team. You can't have two players doing exactly the same thing as your eights. He brings that balance when Mount's trying to progress the ball up and kind of attack, where Kovacic is kind of okay sitting a little bit deeper and bringing the ball up and kind of breaking up play as need be to help out Kante at times. So Kovacic is 100% needed, and his form has been phenomenal. So like Jay said as well, shout out to Jay, he needs to start in certain games, and there's certain games where I understand where he shouldn't be starting and you need a bit of more attacking impetus. So bringing him off the bench makes complete sense. But against certain opposition, he should be playing.
Absolutely, Kamal, man. It's so true. The balance that you're talking about, someone like Mason Mount, who's full of energy, presses, intensity, can chip in with the goals and assists. And then you need someone who's able to, drive the ball from deep and help out with the build-up. And, when the opposition's really pressing hard, you can have someone who can just wriggle through it and break things up. So you need that balance, which is fantastic. There was, I don't know if you guys know this, there's a particular football Twitter account, Cheesy Hour. They've got many different accounts. I'm not sure if you guys have seen. Cheesy Hour is a really, really good football Twitter account. And they, ages ago, I think it was last year or even the year before, I was sort of saying, our midfielders don't score much. And then he was it's a group of people, Cheesy Hours. And then they were sort of saying to me that, well, why is it necessary that the midfielders need to score? You've got the forward pack. Look at Liverpool. You got Salah, Mane, Firmino. They're the ones who score generally. They're the ones who pump in the goals. And their midfield is literally the workhorse. They just work. Right. They really, really hustle and work hard. And their playmaking comes from, Trent Alexander-Arnold and Robertson. So it got me thinking that, it doesn't necessarily have to be all goals coming from your midfield if your front three are firing in all cylinders. Now, that's the issue with us, where our front three are not always firing in all cylinders. We don't have a Mo Salah. We don't have a Mane that just bangs in goals. I mean, Werner, honestly, probably would have had 15 goals by now had he put all those goals in. But, we don't have that at the moment. So it's a good point. Just quickly, before we go to Thiago Silva, Shyam, does Mateo Kovacic start for you against Arsenal? Or is it Havertz?
I think Kovacic, chiefly because of the fact that he has game time under his belt. I think Havertz can come off the bench.
Kamal, your call, man, is does Kovacic start or does he come off the bench?
Yeah, I do think Kovacic starts and Havertz comes off the bench just for a little attacking impetus towards the end of the game. He's clearly not 100% fit. So, yeah, give it to Kovacic. He's been on fire as well recently.
No, absolutely, man. Michele, nice comment. Kovacic is the bounty of the football world. Underrated, misunderstood, and underrated. Nice one. There's a really good comment from Jay as well. I want to read this out. He got player of the year, so wouldn't say underrated, but definitely isn't as appreciated. That's so true, because I tweeted something out saying that Kovacic is underrated, and many people actually said he can't be underrated when he's player of the year. But my response to that was that a lot of people disagreed with that. A lot of people disagreed for him to be player of the year. A lot of the pundits and journalists actually voiced their opinion out and said it really shouldn't have been him. It could have been even Mason Mount, could have been Tammy, could have been Azpilicueta, many other players. Some even said Willian, and you know, he had a really good restart, but everything before that, I don't think it was that great. But yeah, let's talk about Thiago Silva, boys. Thiago Silva. You know, for me, obviously, that game against West Ham, he was phenomenal. But throughout this season, you know, he's shown, bar that game against West Brom, he's shown how important he is. I'll go to Kamal first of all. Kamal, with not having Chilwell and Reece James in the upcoming weeks, we saw in the West Ham game how Thiago Silva reads the game so quickly, and he was able to help out Emerson, and with his, you know, I suppose with his weaknesses or liabilities that Emerson has, and similarly for Azpilicueta as well, he was being able to shift around, and obviously Zuma's there to help him too. But for me, I guess the question is, Kamal, do you think Thiago Silva is probably the best defender, centre back at the moment in the Premier League?
Premier League. Okay, let's talk about best centre backs in the league currently. Virgil van Dijk's injured. You've got Laporte. Yeah, okay, yeah, you could say he is, just in terms of influence alone. The fact that we got him on a free transfer is still absolutely mind-boggling to me. I ain't gonna lie, I'll hold my hands up. At 36, I was kind of skeptical. I was like, is he gonna be able to do this week in, week out at this level? And then that his debut with West Brom, and I was just like, all right, I'm hoping that's just an anomaly, and it obviously was, where he had that mistake. But Thiago Silva, yeah, as he's just getting better with age, man. He's like fine wine. He's just phenomenal for us, and I'm gutted at the fact that I know he is 36. I think all Chelsea fans are kind of upset knowing that we could have got him earlier, but it's just too late now, because he's so important for us right now. He's so important for, like you said, organization, leadership, positioning, scoring goals when he can. And we know he can't play every week. So that's scary. Now we're going into the busiest period of football, and we know he's going to have to pick and choose his games. So not being able to play every week is going to be really, really tough, especially as we come up against some important games like Manchester City and Aston Villa and stuff like that, as we're fighting for the league. So it's kind of a catch-22. You want him to play every game, but you know he can't. But for what he brings on during the game, it's just, you can't question it. It's just so good. He's just so important for us, and I can't really continue on more than that. He's just too good. At his age, he's just so good for us.
Absolutely. Sorry, guys. I've got my son here. He's making a lot of noise. Give me one.
It's all right. I'm used to
that. Sorry about that. He's just walked into the room. Guys, do apologize for that, but that's what you get, man, when you're a father. You're just going to have to deal with that kind of stuff. But hey, in regards to Thiago Silva, I mean, I'll go to Shyam now. At the age of 36, he's defying. I keep thinking I'm 35, right? And I could not be moving around the way Thiago Silva is moving around. There's no way I'm moving around like that. But Thiago Silva, for his age, looks so good. I mean, he's probably one of the fittest players in our team. I know Kamal has said that he can't probably play that many games in a row, which is understandable, but he's the perfect player. The notion of age is just a number. Do you feel that's the case with Thiago Silva, that he's the definition of age is just a number?
Absolutely. I think he's a definition of that, and also of a disciplined footballer. And the reason why I say this is because of the fact that, you look at his history, or you look at his journey. Never ever has he been in a controversy ever. He has been a professional on the field and
So
off the
true.
field
So
throughout.
true.
Be it his days
And
in
his family
AC
as well,
Milan.
Shyam. His family is so
Exactly.
nice too.
Exactly. I think this is a guy who's an example for everyone in this team, in this league, and be it as a fan, you can look up to him and say, this is the type of life I want to live. Be it with discipline in the fact that regardless of what I do, I have to be true to myself. He's actually very honest about his about himself as well, I guess. When he speaks about his AC Milan days, he actually mentions how he actually was pretty much influenced by the fact of playing alongside Nesta, or actually watching Maldini. So I think
Right.
that's where I think it's actually very important, as a young players to be influenced by players like them. I think that actually played a very huge part in his journey so far. And I think if we can have at least a little part of that impact on the players we have here right now, I think we'll be set for years.
No, absolutely, man. Kamal, how good is it to see Thiago Silva sensing danger before everyone? He's so much. People talk a lot about his age, but for me, I forget about his age and I start thinking how he reads the game quicker than everyone. Whenever, even in that West Ham game, there were a few instances where Emerson was in trouble and then quickly Thiago Silva comes in and just helps him out. And similarly, he does that many times for either Kante or whoever. Just intercepts, either blocks. There was a really big block. Do you remember that West Ham shot? And he took it to the chest. And I think the Chelsea Twitter page tweeted that out, saying the boss. And he takes a full blast shot in his gut, and he just goes, just bring it, man, just bring it. How much does that, like, when you see that, do you feel that, man? That's, our players need to learn from him.
Yeah, they do, because you look at Chelsea defenders in the past and of the last 20 years, and you look at the guys we've had, and you kind of, they all had one thing in common. I mean, I'm not going like leadership or anything like that here. They loved defending. They loved clean sheets. They loved that so much. It meant so much to them that conceding goals was like the most brutal thing that could happen to them. So Thiago's got that kind of mentality. He's like, by all means necessary, right? We're going to defend by all means necessary. We're not conceding any goals. It's not going to happen. And that's a massive influence on the rest of the guys, because like you said, we haven't seen this in, I don't know when, since John Terry, Gary Cahill partnership. I mean, since then on, it's been Rudiger, David Luiz, it's been, Christensen, and we all know how I feel about Christensen anyway. So it's like, we haven't seen this kind of mentality from the guys that we've had in recent years. So the only thing he can do is kind of influence the guys, and you're already seeing it. You're already seeing Zuma come out and say he's such a massive part of, like what we're trying to do, and everyone looks up to him because he's been there. He's played in all the big competitions. He's won everything. So for a young player coming up, they can only look at Thiago Silva and say, I need to, like Shyam said, they need to emulate him on and off the pitch. And there's like that the Instagram thing from a couple of weeks ago when Thiago's off, but his wife's doing an Instagram live and he's just there looking at tactics. And that's the sign of a madman that needs to, everyone needs to be 24/7 football. Everyone needs to be 24/7 Chelsea, and what we can do to improve. So that's what I love to see, man. You don't get a lot of it these days, but it's kind of a rare breed. But hopefully he can kind of instill that in the next generation of Chelsea defenders.
100%, man. I love his family, man. I love it watching them in Instagram. I'm like, yeah, that's a really tight knit family. His kids and everyone, and they're so passionate about their father as well. Like when he's playing for Chelsea, it's so good to see. And man, it's good, and we're blessed to have someone like Thiago Silva. And as both of you boys have said, that our younger defenders, or even just general players, like especially the defenders like your Zumas and Fikayo Tomori, Christensen, I don't know how long these guys are going to stay in terms of Rudiger and Christensen and whatnot, but even if they stay for any longer period, they should take as much as they can from Thiago Silva, because, man, he's just oozes in class. It's just unbelievable. At the age of 36, boys, he has shelved Christensen, Rudiger, Fikayo Tomori. Like, that's amazing. Guys, let's take some questions here. We've wrapped up the main sort of points that we wanted to talk about. A couple of questions that the guys have put over here. First one from Michele a while back. He said, guys, in regards to Kamal and Shyam, I'll go to Kamal on this one and I'll ask another question to Shyam. Kamal, in regards to Kamal and Shyam, does he now get straight back into the team against Arsenal or whoever else next? I think Arsenal next game, so we'll talk about that. Does he come into the starting lineup straight away, or does he have to slowly come back into it?
Yeah, no, he won't be thrown straight into the fire, no doubt. As much as we want wingers on both sides, you look at what's working. I keep using these quotes, but it seems to work. It keeps working as of late, and it's gonna be Werner and Pulisic. You just know it. Callum off the bench. Hopefully he gets like a good 30 minutes, 30, 40 minutes to actually run out and not just 10 minutes at the end of the game. But at that point,
it's going to be 10 minutes at the end of the game.
Exactly. The only good thing about that is that you hope it's because we're winning like 4 or 5-0, right? And you can just throw him off at the end of the game just to protect everyone else. But yeah, I don't think Callum comes straight in just because of fitness as well. There's no way he's going to go from hamstring, boom, starting against Arsenal of all teams. So yeah, off the bench for sure.
No, I agree as well. I can't picture him starting, and I don't think he's going to get 30 to 40 minutes. I'm pretty sure he'll get 10 minutes. But I'll take that 10 minutes. I'll take that. Hopefully he gets a goal off that 10 minutes. Shyam, I've got a question here from Anurid, he's asked this question a couple of times actually. Kai to get back to his best in 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1 works for him. I think basically what he's trying to say is that does Kai come back, and what would be the best formation for him when he does come back?
I think this is tricky. I think it depends on the formation we play, bro. I think for now, I think we are playing in a 4-3-3. I think you cannot actually change the system for one particular player. And I think for now 8 is good. But if you think he's not adapting to it well, I think you can maybe revert back to 4-2-3-1. But then you'll have to be also cautious with the fact that 4-2-3-1 hasn't been best system so far in this season. So it's a tricky one. But I think in a 4-2-3-1 you'll get the best out of Kai. But then again the team suffers there. But then in a 4-3-3 the team does well, and you can only hope that Kai actually steps up. He can, and I think he will.
I agree as well. I think you're right. 4-2-3-1 definitely suits him because he can play as a number 10. But in a 4-3-3, which is a system that we're sort of trying to emulate here, I hope he can do the number 8 position. I think he can as well, as you've said, Shyam. Sure. He's got the game to do that, and I'm sure, Kamal, you agree as well. Last question before we wrap things up, Kamal. Question from Iram. What do we need to do to challenge Liverpool more? This is the question on everyone's mind.
Consistency and health. And I know those are two things that just you can't guarantee. Specifically health, right? Because everyone's suffering. And I think it's kind of understated now. It's kind of evident that how important Ziyech is to this team. And I know, Miz, we discussed this last week. It's just so obvious. With him, everything just works. With him, Kai Havertz has more room to do his thing. With him, Timo Werner can make those back post runs, and Pulisic can as well, and Chilwell can. Everything kind of seems to revolve around the abilities of Ziyech and how he can create something out of nothing. So health is for sure probably the most important thing for Chelsea's aspect, because we haven't been able to keep a consistent, healthy lineup 2 games in a row for the last 5 years, man. It's been literally I remember last year when at the beginning of this season, that I read a statistic that Frank Lampard hadn't had a full team available in the 18 months that he was in tenure. So and now again, he just hasn't had that availability of a full team. So hopefully we can get consistency from a health standpoint, and I think from there everything else will just kind of click into place. Consistency, chemistry. And then that's all we need. It's just consistency from the guys up front as well. Timo Werner get back to his scoring ways. I don't think we're too far off, man. I think it's just health, to be honest with you.
No, so true. If you look at Liverpool, if we were to compare ourselves and we want to get better, you look at Liverpool, week in, week out, game in, game out, Salah, Mane, Firmino, Salah, Mane, Firmino, Salah, Mane, and the midfield as well. Not much change. Henderson, Wijnaldum, and whoever else, Fabinho. now they've got to a situation where they know their game so well, it doesn't really matter who's in, who's out. Everyone understands their position. They could even bring in Origi, and he'll do the same thing as Firmino would do, or whoever. They could even bring in Shaqiri, and he'll do the same thing as Salah does. So they're now in a situation where every single one understands it. But it happened because what you said, Kamal, is that they had the team together for a very long time without injury. When was the last time we saw Salah and Mane injured? Only this season they started getting injured. But past few seasons, when Salah came in his first season, he wasn't even injured. Same with Mane, same with Firmino. So we just need, you're so right, Kamal, man. We just need that at least 15 to 20 game stretch where they are all fit and just game after game after game. But yeah, it is what it is. Hopefully these boys do get better. But we've come to an end of this episode. Thank you so much, boys. Honestly, I had a lot of fun. Each and every one of you guys that have tuned in, tuned out, thank you so much for joining and leaving comments. Really, really nice questions as well. Please smash that like button. Helps the channel out a lot. Helps us to grow. And soon we're going to bring in more different types of guests in this Brown Excellence, trying to see if we can get more Brown brothers involved here. But yeah, guys, thank you so much to Kamal and Shyam. Thank you. I'll see you guys again next week.
Peace out, guys.
See you.